Latest technology, the CD-ROM computer. This is a multimedia system.
Well, thanks for tuning in. Today, I have the pleasure of sitting with Matt McGowan, the General Manager of Snapchat Canada. And I'm so happy to be spending some time with you as we kick off the new year. How's it going, Matt?
Sonia, it's really good to see you, and it's going well. It's going really well. It's been a busy start to the year on many fronts.
Well, for sure. And I saw that you really hit the ground running, as many people did in our industry, at CES this year. And what a show it was. I mean, more than 140,000 people showing up in Vegas. It was a bit of a zoo. And so much to explore and see. And one thing that I want to hear about what your takes were for sure, and what you saw and what you think is really going to influence the year in terms of technology. But one thing that I was really curious about when I was kind of walking the floors and I really thought of you was the amount of wearables that are starting to crop up. And I know that Snapchat's been working on some really cool stuff on your end. So I wanted to get your perspective on, the glasses that people are starting to put out, and maybe mixed reality, and some of the different things that we're going to be seeing in 2025 potentially go mainstream, maybe not. What do you think?
I mean, that's a great question, and the future is so hard to predict. But yes, I think one of the things that differentiates us at Snapchat is we've invested significant resources into what we call spectacles, which are those wearable glasses that those cutting edge at the moment individuals are wearing all around Toronto and the cities of their choice. But the spectacles is interesting for a couple of reasons. We've been investing heavily in this for quite some time.
Yeah.
Last year at our partner summit in Los Angeles, we announced our newest version of spectacles along with an operating system. So like if you think about
Cool.
technology, you think about like consumer electronics, they come with an operating system, and until recently, those operating systems have been controlled by a few players. But spectacles and augmented reality or mixed reality allows it's a new paradigm. It's a new platform. So there's going to be new players. And we recently announced Snap OS, and we got to show it off a bit at CES, which is kind of fun. But it's basically a next generation software platform that's designed to unify the power of our AR driven ecosystem. So it's kind of bridging the gap from our like mobile app to the glasses we put on our face. And while it's still like emerging and it's in its first iteration, V1, call it Snap OS. I think it'll provide like tighter integration around our AR and machine learning technologies, enabling like more seamless user experiences.
Okay. All right. I'm
Take
going to
the phone
interrupt
away. Leave the phone and put it on your face.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of that I think that's exactly what I was going to ask, right? I was going to get into, okay, so Snapchat has created this operating system. The operating system is presumably like really important also when it comes to advertising later on down the road, because then you're going to be able to integrate experiences and create new product so that you can actually interplay with this sort of the mixed reality experience. So walk me through, because I had a lot of fun at CES trying all this stuff, like riding suitcases and stuff. Like, so like, can you explain, like, you put on these glasses, and I'm in Toronto, I'm walking around the beaches. What happens? So like, what would be an experience that these glasses render and offer?
Yeah, so it's great. So you put the glasses on, and you see this like heads up display in front of you, and it's not really there. it's there to you, but no one else can see it. One of the interesting things about spectacles is we do a lot of shared experiences. So if you're wearing spectacles, your friend or your colleague, or if your friend or colleague has their Snapchat open, they can see also what you see through your glasses.
Amazing.
Because it's a shared lenses, as we call them, or shared experiences. But you put this on, you'll see our first version of our operating system. So it's like a big square in front of you with lots of apps in it.
Okay.
Using your hands, no remote control needed. You can, and the learning curve is quick. I tell you, like, I put these things on a ton of people, and it takes a few minutes to actually figure out how to use them. It's
Okay.
not like earlier editions of wearables that I've played with
Right.
and used. And then through that heads up display, you're going to see entertainment. So, you know, you can sit back, relax, and look at a really big screen in front of you. Gaming. If you want to get into it, one of my favorites is the golf game. It's wild. So
Okay.
I'm standing at a green. I see whatever I would see if I wasn't wearing the glasses for most of the area, and then out in the distance, I can see the pole, and I could see where you know, where I'm trying to hit the ball, which is super fun. And then we're seeing a lot of educational use cases. I was watching someone play piano with them. So like you sit at the piano and it overlays on your fingers kind of what you need to do. So you
Oh,
don't have to look up all the time while you're playing.
that's great.
Connections with friends, colleagues, family,
Yeah,
creation, so on and so forth. There's so much you can do on it.
that's
And we're
great.
just getting started. Here's the thing. We haven't even launched them in Canada yet. We plan to do that later this quarter. And and when we launched to our developer ecosystem. And
Okay.
imagine if you opened up an app store and there was nothing in it, you probably wouldn't come back, right? So
Right.
the idea is, let's get it out in the hands of those who develop these experiences. They will create
Mm-hmm.
for our ecosystem. And these are big companies like Lego, or big influencer type creator types who are developers. So like you have a large spectrum of individuals creating for Snapchat. And
That's really cool. And what's the learning curve for the developers themselves? Like what program, like is it a big leap for them? Like a big investment in terms of learning, and you're providing, presumably you're providing sort of guidance and workshops and all that stuff, right?
Sure.
Yeah.
So we have a software package that's free to download called Lens Studio.
Mm-hmm.
We have a large ecosystem of creators who have been developing lenses and these experiences for our app. And
Okay.
there's a real quick kind of, you're using the same software
Mm-hmm.
to develop for spectacles. So we
Great.
have this large ecosystem of developers. And we're just giving them a new screen, or there's no real screen to be fair, a new medium or platform to create for.
That's fantastic. So then, if I'm a Canadian creative agency, I can already start playing around with that software. That's available to me for
We
free.
have a network of creative Canadian creative shops who already develop AR
Mm-hmm.
that we work with on a daily basis for AR experiences on the mobile phone. So it's a really quick, easy, relatively kind of like easy step to move that like creative center of excellence into this new medium. So yeah, those discussions.
Yeah. That's really great. You know, when we think about some of the other things that were coming out of CES, obviously, you know, AI was huge, and wearables were everywhere. You really started to get the sense that, you know, and I know that you heard the Martin Sorrell speech, and we're, you know, it was like 25 is the year of now, and everybody is, you know, we're living in the dream that we had a few years ago, where everything is becoming integrated into our lives. And so I think that astute brands already know this, and they're already working really hard to maintain like a consistent presence within media platforms, to be with their customers and with their prospects. When you think about Snapchat and you think about you know, the way that people use it, What are some of the opportunities or some of the ways in which brands can get involved and integrated in an always on presence? Or is that something that you're seeing a lot of, or are you seeing people drawn to the platform more for campaigns or for launches or for like big splashy things? How are you seeing it?
It's a good question. I mean, we see both, to be fair. And one of the interesting things is, if you remember, Snap, we're about 15 years or 14 years old as a business, and the audience on Snap is at scale at this point, but it does skew younger. Like, we see much larger cohorts, percentages of, in the 13 to 24, 13 to 34, and then we do 35 plus. And many of these younger Canadians haven't been exposed to a lot of the more traditional brands.
Yeah.
And we see this time and time again. It's kind of like shocking, because they walk by these stores, they go to the websites, but they're just not engaged. They have no connection to them.
Right.
And what happens is they end up buying new things, like buying from newer stores or newer chains or whatnot. And so what we see, like with customers on the ad side, is when the first time they start to engage with Snap, we usually see some really significant brand lift and affinity type scores, because these individuals hadn't been exposed to these more traditional brands. And when we look at it, like, advertisers can run always on with us, refresh the creative over time, and then what happens is, like, let me back up a little bit. I look at it as like crawl, walk, run, and many of these advertisers join us for these tentpole moments, lines of business launching, Thanksgiving, the holidays, whatever it might be, back to school. But what they're also noticing is those are the most crowded moments in time to be on Snap. The auction density is higher. So what they'll do is they'll run different creative throughout the course of the year, and then dollar cost average into like an effective CPM that makes sense for their business. So we see both. We see always on with lots of creative refreshes, and we see more tentpole kind of, specific opportunity moments as well. So it goes both ways.
That's neat. One thing that struck me when you were explaining the spectacles approach is that it really just brings home that feeling. And we saw it last year at Cannes too, like that shared experiences theme that Snapchat is really bringing into the marketplace, right? Like, let's share experiences together, whether it's live events or like in person. It's like this really interesting bridge between in real life and sort of automated or digital, which I think is so awesome. I want to close the conversation though by asking, what do you think is going to happen in 2025 in terms of generally how innovative brands are feeling? Like, do you think that brands are like, this will be a year where brands are going to like start pushing the envelope a little bit more and try to really get into the the full value proposition that you have to offer? Do you think that they're going to be more conservative? I mean, I know what we hope for, but what do you think?
And every advertiser, every sector is different, but I think there are sectors that are extremely leaned in and very competitive on Snap, and then there are sectors that are just dipping their toe in. It's been interesting over the last 5 years. We've really broadened out our advertiser customer base across the vast majority of sectors or industries available in Canada, and actively advertising in Canada. And the reason is it's that young Gen Z audience. That's like, when there are certain moments in time in someone's life when they are ready to be sold something. And when you think about students graduating university and entering the workforce and becoming off their parents' cell phone plans, opening up their own bank account, getting a car to commute to work. We're back to the office these days, right? Whatever it might be, when they have no kids and no relationships, they travel a lot, right? So there's a lot of moments in time. And what we've been able to do over the last 5 years is introduce Snap to all these different sectors. And what we're finding is like, we're finding a lot of success. Let's just call it that.
Yeah.
Clients love our audience.
Yeah.
It's a unique audience. It's a hard to find audience. They like our approach to privacy. And I think at the end of the day, like they like how as a platform, people feel really free to express themselves on Snap. And that means they're bringing their like authentic self, and brands are bringing their authentic self. And there's this like great conversation going on. A lot of the tools and like features we put in place to protect our audience, our advertisers also find use in. And
Yeah, it's timely to have those tools.
right. And
Yeah.
we can go through them all or not, but like,
Yeah.
not for this call, but like it's those type of, that's all been really nice, like wind in our sails as we continue to move this business forward. So yeah, I think it really depends on the industry, but we have high expectations.
Yeah, I mean, so do we at IAB, right? We're really hoping that brands really see this as a moment, also to cut out, right? To cut it, or to stand out, and do something that is interesting. And I think by virtue of even just the nature of your platform and the nature of the technology that you're developing, it's hard not to push the envelope when you're working with a canvas that is, different from everything else that's out there. So, I think that must go a long way towards innovation, or feeling as a brand like you're innovating, or keeping up with an audience that is pretty elusive. So,
And elusive, have different preferences. And what to your point, my youngest child isn't old enough to have a mobile phone, but he would like one. Bringing it back to your original point, I don't know if he's going to ever have one. He might just get a pair of glasses in a few years. So I think just like a lot of these more immersive gaming environments, it's beholden to the advertiser to be testing these new mediums, because you don't really know where the future is going to take us, and it would be unfortunate to be caught off guard.
yeah. Yeah, innovator, see, I guess don't, and see what happens.
Innovator guy? No, I don't know. Anyway,
Yeah, I don't want to be that dramatic, but it's like, at the end of the day, you got to keep up, right? That's like, we're always spinning plates.
And I had a lot of conversations. I mean, we have a bunch of spectacles in the office where we're introducing them to our partners, our clients every day. There's all sorts of reactions when someone puts them on. But the one thing I like to like remind everyone about is like, when I graduated college in '98, I didn't have a mobile phone. It didn't exist. Like, it wasn't like a consumer. Right. It was just happening. I think I got mine in end of '98. So a couple months after graduating. The mobile phone lived in the car. It was called the car phone before a mobile phone, or a suitcase phone, if you remember. And it's iterated so many times. Cameras have been added. Snapchat was invented because of the camera. But it's hard to think that we are done innovating. It's hard to think that like the current format is the last one. So if you agree that things will continue to evolve and innovate, and if you walk the floor of CES, you'll know we're not the only ones building these things. But you gotta imagine that like a hands-free environment where you don't have to like lean over and look at that you have a larger screen, I put those in air quotes, in front of you, is all very possible. And
and it's foretelling. It's like foreshadowing. It's like the future.
Something's coming. Yeah.
And then what I love. What I love about this is the fact that it's like, we yeah, and we've probably had same experiences in terms of like, starting in the industry and all that sort of stuff. But when you think about it, when you think almost like nostalgically and romantically about like the Palm Pilot, or like about like the BlackBerry, or
I,
the pager, or whatever the technology was. And the fact of the matter is we had them. Like we bought into them and we were using them for what they were giving us at that moment. So, and without them, they couldn't have become the precursor to something better. And I feel like we're at a moment now where if you're innovating and you're building an OS system and you're building these spectacles and you're doing all this sort of stuff, even even if that's not what it's going to be 10 years out, it's still going to hold a really special place in somebody's memory with the brand that brought it out at the time when they did. So it's like, I always celebrate innovation, no matter where it comes from, and no matter what the future of that innovation is. It's just really exciting to be part of it. And I think brands should really start embracing, the opportunities that are coming out. Yeah, they're fast and furious. It's hard sometimes to make, decisions on where to invest, but like dig in, because it's pretty exciting. So
well said, well said. And I think, listen, with this new medium will be new advertising opportunities and new ways to new ways to connect with potential customers.
agree.
And we'll keep on launching new innovative solutions like on our app, but we'll also start thinking about kind of what's available in wearables in the near future.
Amazing. Well, Matt, thank you so much for spending some time with me just to talk a little bit about how the year's looking, and what your thoughts were about CES and stuff. I would love to check in with you again in June. Maybe after Cannes, maybe, like after the creative sort of, the creative season has passed, just to see what the uptick has been, and whether any of these, thoughts or predictions change over time. We do some reforecasting. But in the meantime, really, thank you so much, and we'll talk soon.
Thank you, Sonia. Looking forward to it.